Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. I have been doing a December project where I open my Spellbinders Advent calendar every day and do a little shorts video on the YouTube platform and show off the product and what I've made with it. And occasionally I'm posting these longer format videos when I have a little bit more to say, and that is definitely the case with Day 12's project. So let's go ahead and dive in. First of all, since I film in the shorts vertical format, I have to make do with that film footage for doing these longer videos. But as I tell you a little bit about this project, you can see me opening up the Day 12 window, and most of this advent calendar is dies, and I really love the Spellbinders advent calendars. I've been doing these, this is my third year now, so I'm very happy with this. And today is a little like a lemonade glass, or it could be a cocktail if you're into that kind of thing, but it is super cute and I absolutely love it. If you want to see more of my shorts video, I will put up in the corner a link to the playlist for all of those, and also down in the description so you can catch those. So I love this little drink cup, but I always try to think of something a little bit different to do with these supplies that the other YouTubers who are sharing may not show you. So it took me a little while to figure out what I wanted to do, and then it kind of popped into my head that I wanted to set up a little birthday table scene with two friends having some drinks together. And so I've pulled out a bunch of dies from the other days in this calendar. That's another thing about this project. I try to stick mostly with the main supplies that I'm getting from this, other than, cardstock, inks, things like that. And that means I'm looking at my supplies and trying to see a few other shapes. And here with this little stem and the previous one that was actually a flower bud, we're going to make a raspberry. And we'll see a little bit more on that in a second. So I've kind of gone over all the supplies in here. The next thing we're going to do is die cut with acetate. And that can trip people up a little bit. And this is where I didn't have enough time to explain in the shorts video some tips on that. Here I've got my dies prepped on my acetate. It is trimmed down just to the size I need. I'm pulling out my die cutting plate, and if your plates look like mine where they're well used, all of those grooves and nicks can transfer impressions into your acetate. If you put a piece of cardstock underneath your die cutting, that will do two things. It will prevent those nicks and cuts from transferring to your acetate, and also it adds a little bit more pressure to help your acetate cut cleanly. That is the second problem that a lot of people have with acetate. So using this method, I have never had an issue. My acetate cuts beautifully every time, and that is the best way I can offer to other people to do their acetate. Now I've got my drink cup and the little rim for the drink cup, which is super cute. And I am making my little glasses clear. A lot of people were using vellum for their drink cups. I will use vellum, but in another way. All right, for this part of the project, I had used that little embossing folder that we got, I think, such as yesterday. And I embossed this strip of paper. I'm trimming it down, and then I realized I could use it to cut out the shape of a table. And I wish my video wasn't overexposed. Unfortunately, my camera was not behaving well, and you're missing a lot of the detail that I've gotten out of that embossing folder. But it's kind of a triangle shape, almost looks like pinwheels in the full pattern. At any rate, I am trying to add a little bit more definition to this piece that is going to be the table. It is a kind of a cream color, and it's blending in a little bit with my tag, which is a white color. So just adding a little bit of shadow to the edges will help it stand out more. And then I've got it trimmed down to fit nicely on my tag, and that will be the basis for my little scene that I'm going to be building with all of these pieces. All right, let's go ahead and move on. These little pieces are the inserts for your drink cups that are the drink itself. And I'm going to colorize this as kind of a, what is the drink that's like a sunset? I can't quite remember. I'm not a big drinker, so I don't know the names of all the things. So one that's kind of like a sunset design. I'm going to use alcohol markers on vellum to create these colors. And I'm going to be quote unquote watercoloring with alcohol markers, where I'm put a little bit of alcohol onto the side of my palette and I'm picking it up with a paintbrush to help spread and smooth out the markers on vellum. Alcohol markers are very smooth on cardstock, but they get a little bit streaky on vellum. So having an old paintbrush, you don't want to use a good paintbrush for this because the alcohol can damage the glue that holds the bristles in. But using an old paintbrush, I can help spread that alcohol ink around and make a lovely blend. You can do similar things with water-based markers, but they take longer to dry, so I like the alcohol markers. Here I am adding the second color, and because it's green, I don't want to completely blend green with pink. Mine is kind of a lemonade here, or cocktail, instead of being a lemon. If you blend green with pink, you're going to end up with brown in the middle. So I get those colors close to each other, but I'm not going to quite touch them. Instead, I will do a little bit of a dabbing motion to try and make it look like they're right up against each other, and that's creating a bit of a gradient without turning into mud in the middle. All right, as you can see up in the top section there, I have two little vases that I've turned into kind of carafes with the appropriate colored liquids in them for mixing drinks at the table. And now I'm going to finish up building my little drink cups. Now, there was a straw included with this set, but there was a squiggle die included a couple days ago that I want to morph with my straw to create a fun little squiggle straw. It's not perfect, but it works out okay as I kind of hide that little pasted together section a little bit under the rim of the drink. And this part gets all a little complicated because part of that straw is going to be underneath the drink cup, and the other part is going to be kind of on top of the drink cup coming through the hole in that rim. So let's talk about acetate for a minute before we get to that problem. If you're going to be gluing acetate or vellum, you can put it onto a double-sided adhesive before you even die cut it. But of course, I always forget to do that. So rescuing this, I am smearing glue all over the entire surface of the acetate, and as long as it has a even coverage along the entire surface, you won't notice that there is glue there. So that is why my rim looks white right now, because it's completely covered in glue. All right, this is the part where I'm trying to piece together my straw. I had snipped the top off so that it could stick out above the plastic of the cup, and then the rest of the straw will get attached to the vellum and be underneath the cup, as we'll see in a minute. Now, trying to explain and show all this in a short was definitely complicated. I'm hoping you even get the idea here in the longer version. Let's go over it again a little bit slower with this other non-squiggly straw. Okay, before I even did that, I have my vellum that's been colored. I am gluing down what I'm calling raspberries, which is really pieced together with a flower part and a tiny, tiny leaf part from two different die sets on 2 different days, but I've created my own little raspberries to go in my fruity little cocktail here. Okay, for the straw, I am just gluing the back of the straw to the vellum, and this is one of those tricks for hiding adhesive when you're gluing vellum and acetate, is just put the glue onto one of the solid surfaces that it's being attached to. Like this straw, when you put the glue along the entire surface of the straw, you won't even know that there's glue there because it's all one piece. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. In the meantime, I have cut off the top of my straw where I think the rim is going to sit on there. I'm adding glue to the front of that straw, which will then attach behind the drink cup of the acetate piece. And I got it slipped up because acetate is a little bit slick when you're putting glue. So I'm trying to scrape out the excess glue, but I will show you a trick to not have that excess glue problem in the first place as we get to the rest of this drink cup. Okay, I am doing that rim again very solidly with glue. I'm pinching it with my very fine tweezers so that I can get the glue everywhere. And here's that tip. If you press off the excess glue onto a scrap piece of paper, that will prevent it from oozing out when you push it down into place. All right, I am putting that drink rim on top of the acetate. I did lift it up a little bit to add some extra glue to where the straws need to connect. I probably didn't need to do that as the rim has enough glue, but I wanted it to make sure it's nice and secure. And this is a little fidgety because that wet glue is slick on the surface, but in the end, it's worth it. You can see these lovely little cups. Some of the glue is still wet there, so there's some white spots, but that will all turn clear in the end, and that finishes off my little cups. I can go ahead and attach them to my project using that glue tap off trick so I don't ooze out extra glue out from underneath these cups. And these are super cute. I'm really happy with how they turned out, despite it being a little bit finicky. And hopefully with these tips, if you've got your own advent calendar, you can go ahead and put some of these drink cups together as well. And in fact, I have a scrapbook layout where I want to do some more of these drink cups so that I have a great picture to go with it. So I will be doing that sometime in the future. That is what I love about these advent calendars, is that it's not just for card making. I can use it in my scrapbooking as well. All right, here is the final look at this tag, and if you know, I will be turning these tags into cards a little bit later. And in fact, I already have days 1 through 7 turned into cards, so I will link you up to that video as well. Wraps up today's video. I hope you got something useful out of this, whether it's some acetate die cutting tips or alcohol ink coloring tips, or just having fun watching me make a mess and create some cute little items. I hope you will join me again in the future for more videos, and until then, I hope you have an artful day.